don't bug us so much, and life begins to get a lot more pleasant. The same kind of things still happen, but they don't mean the same to us anymore. Everything is different. Everything is changed, and in very big ways. It creeps up on you sometimes with incremental change until all of a sudden you realize how different you are from who you were just 6 months ago. You know, you come across a letter you wrote or a journal, or something like that. And so we're changing, and that's exciting, but I want to stay on point. Who am I with regard to creating my own reality, free will, and being a sovereign being? Now, I think we all know as well, Kismet, stay in here, that we benefit very much from some very difficult circumstances that we go through. It's also a given that if the 3D part of us here had a choice, we wouldn't choose that. Ain't no way. You know, we don't want divorces, foreclosures, and fist fights and rapes and horrible things. We don't want to lose the job. We don't want these things. So the conscious mind, the left brain aspect of being, would never choose this. And I'm going to propose yet that we did choose it. And so this is to say that we've got the who am I question wrong when we're looking for the locus of free will and choice making. I'm gonna take it up. I'm not gonna go too far. I'm just gonna go up a couple of densities and say fifth density. And I'm kind of pulling that out of a hat, but I just don't want to get too carried away. That's something we can all reach. That's something we're all headed for in what the Andromedans call upliftment, what we've tended to call ascension. The Andromedans taught Alex Collier that upliftment is something every society eventually goes through. It's just what happens. There's a spiral that's ever moving upward back to source, back to the, we could call it the heart of God. That's a metaphor for we don't know what, but it's an upward spiral. And so they call it upliftment when there's a general massive move into higher dimensions. Now, one of the things that started me speaking out this way, I've been journaling for 30 or 40 years or more, but you know, people don't tend to put their journals online, you know. And one of the things that helped me was Jessica Schaub. Her YouTube site is Jessica Mystic 1, the number 1. And she's very brave and she's very natural. She didn't try to make perfect videos. If she sneezed, whatever, you know, and she just went on with it. And she just gave me the courage. She's dyslexic and has challenges that way. And yet, there she was, brave, beautiful soul, sharing her heart. And I think there's benefit in that. Now, I was going there for a reason that maybe will come back to me. So I'll continue on. Where does free will reside? Who and what part of us is making these decisions that bring not only the beautiful things, but the challenging things into our life? Who's pulling the strings? We're used to pointing fingers and being in the blame game. You know, we just have to completely leave the left brain behind and do this exploration in heart. That's what this is. So come into heart with me and let's look at this, and let's presume for now we have consciousness already existent on higher planes and dimensions. Now, this isn't so far a stretch because I've actually been there and met that aspect of self a time or two. And so it's pre-existent. It's not something I'm making up, and it's an experience available to all. Um, but it's hard when you don't know about something to see it, to experience it. We have all these assumptions. We have a network of beliefs that actually do create our reality. And so what it takes to change them is sight. We see something that doesn't fit, that it's just incongruent with our beliefs and our understanding. And it kind of might silence the left brain for a bit because it just doesn't make sense. But often we have to be shown something like this. So, what if we not only have a higher self, but let's take it that step farther and say we are the higher self. And it is from that level that these choices are made, that the higher self that I am, that you are, is in constant communication with beings of light, because that's what I am, that's what you are, that's our natural habitat. And so that's where these decisions are made. But that's still with the question, who am I? That's just taking it a step farther. Now, I don't know how useful this is, but some of you may be familiar. I spoke of the four lower bodies as a way to conceptualize the energy field. We conceive of the chakras and so on. It's a system of flowing energy. It's electromagnetic. Kismet, you know, he's gotten just like a little child. A little child will get into mischief when they know you're occupied with something that's likely to keep you there. It's funny. It really is. All right. So there's, and again, this isn't solid lockdown reality. This is a way to conceptualize and come to perhaps a better understanding of that which is. And that's all ideas are good for. That's what concepts are for, in my humble opinion, is to help us go from where we are to take a step higher, to get an incrementally better understanding of something. Sure, great bright illuminations can come, but you know, often it's the incremental way. Now, in the same teaching of the Ascended Masters, where they explain the four lower bodies, etheric, mental, emotional, and physical, they explain that you have what could be called three higher bodies. The highest one being what is called the I Am presence, nearest thing to God. Um, you know, there's too much baggage around the word God. But anyway, and then in addition to that, there is what is called the causal body. And it's pictured, it's actually in images as a great big, what looks like a great big blue sphere. And they cross section the sphere, so you're seeing like half of the ball, and what you have is energy bands. So once again, as above and so below, we have the four layers or levels of energy comprising the physicality, and above we have layers of higher vibrating energy, a good bit higher, comprising the spirituality or the spiritual aspects of being, or just what vibrates higher. Let's just look at the electromagnetic spectrum and frequencies. Okay, we get higher and higher and higher. The causal body is said to be the repository of all your good deeds, your own personal book of life. It's we're ascending daily. every wonderful thing, you know, that raises your energy, raises your frequency. You could say every good deed, every good thought, or the way you're cleansing your body, you're taking clay, you're doing whatever to nourish and nurture yourself. Energy rises daily. And when it rises into levels of perfection, it disappears from 3D and those atoms ascend and they take their place at their own field of resonance in your causal body. And so you would have, from your many lifetimes, all of that, all of the blessings accrued, all of the wisdom, all of the everything would be there, resonant there. All right, and then the third higher body, if you will, they used to call it the higher mind. The Summit Lighthouse calls it the Christ self. And, you know, those two can be seen as being the same thing. We know Jesus didn't operate out of his left brain. Kismet, get in here. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to put you in your crate next time I make a video if you can't behave. As if he understands, right? Maybe on some level he does. All right. So, all right. And I apologize. I know that was mental. I know that was conceptual. But I'm feeling my way here. We know that we are great light beings because of Advaita, not because of Advaita, because of my pursuit of an understanding of what I've gotten from teachers and presenters of Advaita. I've been on a long trek of disidentifying. You know, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. I was into that before I found this kind of a teaching, but Advaita really helps you with it. And so you get to where you're so ephemeral. You're the ultimate in ephemeral when you say, I am consciousness. Let's stay in here. That we benefit very much from some very difficult circumstances that we go through. It's also a given that if the 3D part of us here had a choice, we would. It creeps up on you sometimes with incremental change until all of a sudden you realize how different you are from who you were just 6 months ago. You know, you come across a letter you wrote or a journal or something like that. Wouldn't choose that. Ain't no way. You know, we don't want divorces, foreclosures, and fist fights and rapes and horrible things. We don't want to lose the job. We don't want these things. So the conscious, and so we're changing, and that's exciting. But I want to stay on point. Who am I with regard to creating my own reality, free will, and being a sovereign being? Now, I think we all know as well, Kismet don't bug us so much, and life begins to get a lot more pleasant. The same kind of things still happen, but they don't mean the same to us anymore. Everything is different. Everything is changed, and in very big ways.